The year was 1887 when the Providence, a grand American merchant ship, prepared to set sail from New York Harbor. Families gathered along the docks, waving their goodbyes as the ship promised prosperity and safe passage across the Atlantic. On board were wealthy merchants, adventurous travelers, and seasoned sailors who trusted the sea as their second home. Yet among the crowd, whispers circulated of cursed waters awaiting them. The captain, stern and proud, dismissed such notions, declaring that superstition had no place among strong men and steady hands. Still, as the vessel drifted away from the harbor, a chill ran through the air, heavier than the cool winds of autumn. The horizon darkened sooner than expected, and in the distance, flickering lights appeared on the water like torches carried by unseen hands. Few paid attention at first, but those who did felt a quiet unease growing deep within their bones. As the days passed, strange occurrences began to trouble the voyage. Sailors, toughened by years at sea, admitted to hearing whispers riding the night winds. Some passengers reported hearing their own names called faintly from the waves, voices eerily familiar, yet impossible to place. A mother swore she heard her late husband's voice singing the lullaby he once sang to their child. The unease deepened when a young crewman vanished during a midnight watch. His boots and cap remained neatly by the railing, but wet footprints trailed away, ending at the edge of the deck where the sea swallowed all trace of him. Panic rippled through the passengers, while the captain insisted it was an accident, a slip into the ocean. But sailors exchanged nervous glances, speaking in hushed tones of ghostly presences that moved about the ship when the lanterns dimmed. The Providence seemed to drift into waters more haunted with every mile. Without warning, the clear skies turned black, and the ocean transformed into a violent beast. A storm unlike any recorded in their charts struck with unimaginable force. The ship groaned as waves taller than houses crashed upon its deck, drenching passengers in icy spray. Lightning split the sky again and again, and in each blinding flash, ghostly silhouettes appeared climbing the rigging, their hollow eyes fixed upon the living crew. Some swore they saw figures walking calmly across the raging waves, whispering promises of doom. The sailors battled furiously to hold the ship steady, but the storm moved unnaturally, seeming to follow the Providence wherever it turned. It was as though the sea itself sought revenge, pulling the vessel deeper into its wrath. Even the bravest men trembled as they realized this storm was not born of nature. It was a force of vengeance, bound by something older and darker than they could ever understand. In the chaos, the first mate stumbled upon the captain's private quarters, where a hidden journal lay tucked away. Curiosity and suspicion led him to read, and the truth chilled him more than the storm outside. Years ago, the captain had made a deal with smugglers in these very waters, promising them safe passage in exchange for wealth. But when the deal turned sour, he betrayed them, cutting their ropes and leaving them to drown in the ocean's icy grip. Their deaths had gone unpunished by men, but the sea had remembered. The spirits of those betrayed sailors, bound forever to the waves, had awakened to collect their debt. Trembling, the first mate confronted the captain, but the old man's eyes betrayed no regret, only fear. The crew now realized the storm and the whispers were not coincidences, but the cries of the vengeful dead returning to claim their justice. Below deck, the ship transformed into a labyrinth of horror. Passengers ventured into the lower corridors only to encounter visions that defied reason. Crates rattled as though something clawed from within, and barrels seemed to scream when touched. Mirrors reflected not the faces of the living, but the pale, drowned visages of those long lost to the sea. The walls dripped with seawater as though the ocean itself had seeped inside. Some claimed the very wood of the ship pulsed like a beating heart, groaning with an unnatural rhythm. A young boy ran screaming after seeing a sailor with chains dragging from his wrists, his mouth filled with seawater, though he uttered no sound. Panic spread faster than disease, and many locked themselves in their cabins, praying for mercy. But mercy would not come, for the Providence was no longer just a vessel. It had become part of the haunting itself. Desperation led some passengers and sailors to attempt escape. A lifeboat was lowered under the shroud of night as thunder rumbled in the distance. 10 souls climbed aboard, believing the small craft their salvation. But as soon as it touched the water, ghostly hands erupted from the sea, dragging the boat down into the black abyss. Screams echoed across the waves before silence swallowed them whole. Those who witnessed the horror collapsed in despair, realizing there was no hope beyond the cursed ship. Fear shattered unity. Accusations flew, trust crumbled, and madness seeped into the hearts of the survivors. The captain barked orders, but his authority waned as whispers of mutiny grew louder. The sea had caged them, and the realization that there was no escape gnawed at their sanity. The Providence was no longer a ship. It was a trap drifting deeper into a nightmare no soul could resist. As the final night descended, the air grew heavier, and a blood-red moon rose over the furious sea. The captain, clinging to what remained of his pride, ordered the crew to stand and fight. They armed themselves with cutlasses, axes, and pistols, ready to defend their lives. But when the sea began to calm, it was only to reveal a greater terror. From the depths emerged the ghostly figures of drowned sailors, climbing aboard with chains and rusted weapons. The living clashed with the dead, screams mixing with the roar of crashing waves. The deck became a battlefield, slick with seawater and blood. Lightning revealed faces twisted with rage and eyes glowing like embers. One by one, the crew fell, their bodies dragged into the sea by spectral hands. As the Providence groaned and split apart, the sea finally claimed what it had long awaited: total, merciless revenge. Years later, along the rugged coast of Maine, fishermen told stories of a ship that appeared through the fog on moonless nights. They described the Providence, perfectly intact, yet glowing with a ghostly fire. Its lanterns burned green, and its sails billowed though no wind stirred. Those who saw it from a distance survived to tell the tale, but anyone who ventured too close vanished without a trace. Rumors spread of voices calling from the mist, luring sailors toward the phantom vessel. Local townsfolk whispered that the ship was cursed to forever wander the sea, claiming new souls to join its ghostly crew. Some believed it a warning of betrayal and greed. Others swore it was the sea itself, ensuring vengeance would never be forgotten. And so, the Providence sailed on, not as a ship of trade, but as a legend of terror, the sea's eternal revenge.